Okay,
And we are live.
good evening. Welcome to the Planning Commission for the City of Flint. Roll.
Commissioner Campbell,
Here.
Commissioner Blauer,
Here.
Commissioner Jewell,
Here.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins,
Here.
Commissioner Sorensen,
Here.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Wesley.
Here, we have a quorum. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda?
Commissioner Wesley, this is Commissioner Jewell. Would like to add under D, minutes of previous meetings, the minutes of May 26, 2002. I mean,
Yeah.
2020. So that'd be
Right.
May 26, 20.
Okay, are there any other additions to the agenda? Hearing none, the chair will motion to accept the agenda. Did I just go mute?
I'm sorry, Commissioner Campbell, I approve. Second.
Who made the motion?
Didn't Commissioner Jewell?
Commissioner Jewell, I'll make the motion to accept the agenda as changed.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had already made the motion. I'm sorry. Support.
It's been moved and properly supported. All in favor of the approval of the agenda as changed, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed have the same rights. So we'll go to D, minutes of the previous meeting. We'll start with the review of the May 26, 2020 meeting. Those minutes we got at our last meeting, we decided to put it over till this meeting so everybody have an opportunity to review them. And so if everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes of May 26, 2020, we would take those on at this time. If everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes of May 26, 2020,
Yes.
or we still need a little more time? Do we still need a little more time?
I could use a minute or two, please.
Okay. Very well. Okay. Commissioner Sorensen, are you?
Were you waiting on me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm set.
all right.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
What is the desire of the commission concerning the minutes of May 26, 2020?
This is Commissioner Jewell. I will make a motion to accept the meetings of May 26, 2020 as presented, with the notation that in the email that was sent to us, there were a couple of corrections.
And the corrected when the email was sent today?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going from my May 26, 2020 minutes that we received at our last meeting. Okay, so we will note that. Is there support to the
Commissioner
The
Blauer,
motion.
support.
it's moved and properly supported that the minutes of May 26, 2020 be approved with the corrections in the email that was sent out to the commissioners today? Roll.
Commissioner Ryan, Commissioner Campbell,
Support?
Commissioner Blauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Jewell,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Wesley.
Yes. The minutes of May 20th. Are there any abstentions? Okay. Hearing none, the minutes of May 26, 2020 has been approved. We'll move on to the minutes of June 9, 2020.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jordan.
Okay.
I would move approval of the minutes of June 9th, 2020 with any necessary corrections.
Support?
Is it moved and properly supported that the minutes of June 9, 2020 be approved with any necessary corrections? Roll.
Commissioner Ryan, Commissioner Campbell,
Yes.
Commissioner Blauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Jewell,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Wesley.
Yes. Did I hear Commissioner Leora Campbell name call?
Yes,
Okay, good.
thank you.
The meetings of June 9, 2020 have been approved. Next item on our agenda is the public forum. The public is invited to take part on anything appearing on our agenda this evening. If there's anyone in the public wishing to address issues in the public hearing, you'll be able to do that during the public hearing when that agenda item is called during the public hearing. But any other thing that you wish to address the commission on at this time, you have an opportunity to do that. Is there anyone in the public wishing to address the commission? Anyone in the public wishing to address the commission? Anyone in the public wishing to address the commission? KZ, if there's any calls out that you can see?
Nope.
Thank you very much. That portion of the public forum is now closed. Next item on our agenda is site plan review for SPR 20933 Lindsay Med Supply Station at 1960 West Hemphill Road. PID number is 40-25-153-026. Is the applicant present?
Yes, I am.
Mr. Chairperson, this is Commissioner Jewell.
Yes.
I have a question of clarification before we begin. On our agenda, as well as on the application, it's listed as Lindsay Med Supply Station. However, on the site plan package, that we actually received across the top, it says the head shop plus tobacco. Can we have a clarification on that?
The applicant is present. Did you willing to speak to that?
Yeah, I heard what he said. I'm just a little confused how the application said that. It's one building that has, tobacco store on one side and a dispensary on the other side. They join together in, there's like a hall or like a foyer
Okay,
that goes in.
This is Commissioner Jewell. Before you go into the explanation, the concern that I have is on our agenda, and then on the actual application that was submitted, it's listed as Lindsay Med Supply Station. So that's the entity that's applying. However, on the document that I'm looking at with several pages, which is the site plan, across the top it says the head shop plus tobacco. Is that correct or incorrect?
Oh, so the plans show that? I think it must be the mistake on the architect. It's probably he put in like the corporation name, and that's what I'm trying to figure out. I never paid attention to that, but it is.
Do you have
same
your
place.
site? Do you have the copy of your site plan in front of you?
It's on the computer, and Bill just showed it to me. I don't know why I'm repeat. I can hear my voice talking. Am I doing something wrong? How do I fix that?
Is your phone still connected on the other one?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
Let me see. Okay. Oh, it is. You're sorry. Okay, you're right. I just turned it off. Sorry, that was a mistake. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. I can hear you now. Yeah, Bill just showed me a copy of the plan, and I've didn't really pay attention to that. He came and turned everything, and the architect came and turned everything into the city, but I'm not sure if it's on the inside says anything different. It is like the same building, and
No.
the work was
Back up
done.
a bit. That's
going to get done.
sir,
It's for
sir,
basically both
sir,
places. So I'm not sure how the architect had
hello?
put in if
Hello?
it's.
Hold on
Hello?
just a second.
Asking that question.
Hold on just a second.
Can this is Commissioner Jewell.
Hold on,
Yeah.
Commissioner Jewell.
Okay.
Bill, what do you want to say?
Just for a little bit of clarification, if you don't mind, I'd like to show that plan
Are you
again.
able to hear
Let me
me? I'm
show
not
it.
sure if I'm connected or not.
From Lindsay, just hold what you got right there. Right,
Yes.
that's what he's
I'm
showing
not
you.
hearing anything for some reason.
He's showing you the site plan that says the head shop plus tobacco
Across the top of the site plan. This is
across the top of the site plan.
Right.
Right, now, can I show you one more thing, Commissioner Wesley, here on the side?
Okay, I think I just.
Okay, stop, sir, Lindsay, just stop talking for a second, would you please?
I don't think he can hear Commissioner Wesley. I think he's having difficulties hearing the group.
Okay.
He was saying something about he can't hear. He must not be connected or something.
All right.
He's not on mute because we can hear him.
We can hear him, but he can't hear us.
I think his earphones are not receiving the connection, but I think he's plugging it in now.
Hello, can you hear me better now?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Can you hear us? Hello?
Can you hear us?
Can you
I'm
hear
not able to hear anybody for some reason.
We can hear you, but you can't hear us.
He's turned his phone off, Casey.
Now I
Excuse
can
me,
hear it.
Commissioner
Okay.
Wesley. He turned his phone off.
Okay, so I got it now. I can hear you better now.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. Sorry.
Okay,
Okay, Bill.
Wesley, for a point of order again, it does say headshot, and it also says, if you can see this in here, try to get it up close. It does say Lindsay's Med Supply, if you can see that on the plans too.
Okay, this is Commissioner Jewell. I'm looking at the front cover page where it says across the top, it says the head shop plus tobacco.
Right.
Where does it say Lindsay Med Supply Station?
Yeah, sheet, Commissioner Wesley, if you don't mind for point of order. On sheet number 4, A1 of 4, on the
I'm
right.
not, Bill, Mr. Chair, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the cover page.
Okay.
Right. But he's
Not on
telling
the
you
cover
where it
page.
says Lindsay's supply, where it's located at in these in the drawings. Because throughout the drawings, until you get to that A4, all the captions have the head shop plus tobacco. But if you go to A4,
A1 of 4 plus A2 of 4 plus A3 of 4 plus A4 of 4. But Mr. Chair, this is again Commissioner Jewell, as we've always done before in the past. The site plan we're looking at is an official document. And so the cover sheet, and that's why I'm asking for clarification. Because the cover sheet mentions something different than what's in the rest of the document as well as on the application.
yeah, I see what you're saying, and I see that, but it has the head shop plus tobacco. It has the correct address, and it has the correct parcel numbers on there
Right.
for Lindsay's
I mean,
Med Supply Station.
yeah, Mr. Chair, my main concern is just the listing of the document, okay? So that if we we can go through the process and make our comments and recommendations and so forth, but it appears that if we're going to decide for approval, that there needs to be some corrections on the cover page made, plus the rest.
Yeah, because we're
So
not dealing with the tobacco shop, although it might be connected. That's not part of what's before
That's not the
us
application.
today. Not part of the application that was before us today.
Right.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair,
let's go forward.
So,
And then we'll make.
Okay, that was my main concern, just making sure that we have all of our items covered for the applicant.
Right.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell, also on the front page, under our parcel number, it says 10 versus it says 10-25-153-029, but on our minutes, it says 40.
Right.
-25-53029. Which one is the correct one?
Bill, can you address that? Is it 40? The PID 40, or it should be PID 10? Or the parcel, is the parcel number separate from the PID number?
Shouldn't be.
The parcel number is the PID number.
Right. And on the application here, it has PID 40, number 40, instead of 10. Well, it has 40 on our sheet, and then on the drawing, it has PID parcel number 10, 25-153-029.
Yeah, it looks like it should be 40.
Yeah, I don't know where 10 came from. The 10 is, that needs to be,
Mr. Chair?
that needs to be corrected also. If that's the case.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell, the name on the blueprint is spelled Lindsey. Is that it, or is it the one on the paper, which is Lindzzy? Which one is correct?
It's Limdzy. Limdzy.
Okay. So the correct spelling is Lind as in dog, Z as in zebra, Y. Apostrophe S. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, will that have to be corrected on the blueprint? Yes or no?
Yes, it would have to be, that would be corrected along with the name,
Parcel number?
yeah, the parcel number along with the head shop plus tobacco. Because that's not the official name that we have here. So we get another one with those corrections on it. But we still, I think, if we don't find any other things going through our blueprint, going through this blueprint, then those would be the only corrections that needs to be. And before we get an official document. Go
Yes,
ahead.
I will get hold of the architect and recorrect all those items. As we weren't able to come down and look at everything at the time because he had to get dropped off, and because of COVID, it was just I don't know what happened, that he made a couple of those mistakes on there, and the guests wouldn't pay attention to them. So we can make those corrections with no problem.
Okay, let's go through this. Let's go through the blueprint. Tell us about this structure.
Okay, so what we were doing is last time when we had an inspection done, Mike, the building inspector, wanted to get a bathroom in for the other place, like next door, so we can have a shared bathroom or have two different bathrooms. And then we were going to be doing a new building, and things got delayed, so we were not be renovating the whole building. So we needed to set up a bathroom. So we ended up agreeing to do a common bathroom in a foyer that would accommodate both places. So basically on the blueprint, you will see that the old bathroom is coming out, and we're going to be putting a new bathroom in, so everybody can use it. And that was the best way about it for right now to go and do, because we were not going to be building for probably another year or so. So we ended up doing that, and then we're doing this right now, and we're just going for the approval so we can pull permits and make that happen. Also, in the center of the building, where used to be just a small dispensary with just a small counter, and we had like a waiting room. We ended up just making it all one that's open, which there was a wall in between that needed to come down so you can make it all one sales area, because it was a very tight space. And so basically that wall is coming down to make the areas a little bit bigger. And one of the doors that was there got it'd be a window instead of a door to make it work for what the state required for to be in and out, and make sure that there is coverage, that nobody can get in the other room without going through that door. So we'll be doing a window instead of a door as a check-in window. So we just followed what the state asked us to do to make it work for them, for the license. And then we checked with Mike as the inspector, and we figured out a way that's the best way to do it, and that would be approved with everybody on. And that's what the building inspector needed to get done, to get the bathroom, to get that worked up and pull the permits for the building, the mechanical, to do the you know, the fan in the bathroom and the electrician to hook it up and the plumber to do a new bathroom. So we're in a, that's what we're turning all the application and blueprints for to get that approval. We've been in business and operations, and we were there last year or the year before, so everything has been going, but we needed to expand a little bit, and we thought that was the best way to do it. So we expanded on the sales area because things were just a little too tight from the old plan.
Okay. Are there questions from the commission to the applicant?
Mr. Chairperson, this is Commissioner Jewell. And I'm looking at the site plan checklist. And Bill might be able to address this. There's a number of items that are checked off as no, that are not included. I think they're items number 23. They're on page 2 of the checklist, and maybe Bill can address that.
One moment. Sure.
Are you talking, Commissioner Jewell, are you talking about 28 located? You talking about 28,
Yeah.
29?
Yeah. I'm just going down the middle, 28, 29, 35, 36.
Yeah.
And I just wanted a clarification from staff because I know there was some written notes in the third column, which were in my copy were a bit faded. So.
Yeah, it says, please include this on the one, no changes.
Right.
There. No proposed new line.
No changes to the site.
And then 36 had no changes to the site.
Yeah, Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
my main question, Mr. Chair, is from staff. Were that the staff notations? Was that notations from the applicant? Were things already addressed?
Commissioner Wesley, this
Yes.
was a site plan checklist that I had went through. And so if there's a specific question about one, like number 20 wouldn't apply. Number 29, I didn't feel like it would apply.
Well, what about 28, Bill?
Number 28, location and width of existing and proposed sidewalks or boundaries. There was really, I don't see that on the site plan. So I don't know that it was an issue with this site. I don't think there's site plan. I don't think there are sidewalks, if I remember, out on that area.
No. It's an old site plan in here too also, right? That was connected with that?
Correct. And I don't believe there's sidewalks. Maybe Mr. Najir can answer that. Is there sidewalks on this site?
Yeah, there's a sidewalk in front of the whole building in the front.
Okay.
There is sidewalks all the way across.
So they would not be on the site then. They're not on there.
Okay. What about 35?
So there was no landscaping plans at all.
No, it got on here, no. The notation in the far column where it says no proposed new landscaping.
Right.
Did you
Nothing proposed on that site plan for landscaping that I saw.
Well, then, was it anything on the old one? I didn't see,
No.
no. Yeah, they just got their bathroom on stuff.
I don't see any landscaping on either site plan. Commissioner Wesley.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Jewell, does that address your questions?
Yeah, and if those items are needed, as we have done before with previous site plans, those probably need to be added or corrected. As we're all well aware, once we approve an official site plan document, that then becomes the document.
I don't know if there's the landscaping is necessary. That's right there on that corner.
Right. Well, that's why I was asking for clarification from the staff.
There's a lot of pavement there with sidewalk.
Yeah, there's no landscaping. There's no landscaping there at all, because it runs right over into another building. Looks like another business before it gets into a little park there. Okay. All right. Any other questions from the commissioners to the applicant?
This Commissioner Sorensen here.
Yes.
Is this building going to be divided for two separate businesses, or is this Lindsay's med supply station gonna be occupying the whole building? Are we still going to continue with the head shop?
Yeah, this is, it's always been the same way from the last few years. And that's, they're just like separated with doors.
With that
and,
foyer?
And the foyer, because
Okay.
we had to follow what the state was requiring to do to keep things
Okay.
separated. So that's how we.
Is the head shop, or Smoke Shop Plus, is that a corporate name? Is
Yeah,
that how-
that's basically the DBA's name and the corporate name at the same time.
Which is the head shop?
Plus tobacco.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Other questions from the commission to the applicant?
Commissioner Sorensen again, just some clarification. So the head shop plus tobacco is doing business as the head shop plus tobacco, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so the head shop plus tobacco is also doing business as Lindsay's Med Supply Station?
No, they're separate corporation.
Okay.
Lindsay's supplies, this is separate corporation completely.
Okay, so the name of the corporation is Lindsay's Medical
Lindsay's Med Supply Station. That's the name of the corporation.
Incorporated.
Yes, they have to be separate corporations, and
Okay,
just because of liability and everything else, everything's
Okay.
separate.
thank
Sure.
you.
Sure.
Any other questions from the commission to the applicant?
Commissioner Blauer to the applicant. In our notes, it's noted about a storage container. Can you address that? Is it a temporary structure?
Yes, that's temporary for a container. I think they said allow us for a few months to use it. What happened is during COVID, and we were essential business. They wanted to stay open. So everything that come in, we were just putting it inside the container at the time being, because they were saying, like, if you leave things for 4 or 5 days, 6 days, then the virus might not stick to it. Besides cleaning, because we don't want to just clean it and make sure, products coming from could be from out of town or from through FedEx or, deliveries. We wanted to just store things in for a few days to make sure that, there's no virus or anything like that on it. So we will be using all this temporarily till this COVID's over, and we'll be taking that out.
Do you have a time frame for that? In months, days for removal of that?
Date-wise?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
are you using it just for weeks or months?
No,
or-
yeah, it would be like maybe 3-4 months, just till the virus is over. Then we won't be needing it, because then everything just can cover in the store. Right now, we're just trying to be careful when the deliveries come in, and that was one of the best ways to do it. To just leave everything outside, let it be for a few days after cleaning it, and just to make sure that we didn't miss anything, because there's boxes, there's things come from out of town, and we just trying to be very, very careful. And it was recommending to do stuff like this to make sure nothing gets contaminated, or we don't want to get the virus in, because we were open throughout.
Commissioner Sorensen here. Just, this is just going to be strictly a retail,
Yeah, it's only retail. Everything is retail.
recreational use retail?
No, it's just medical retail. It's not
Okay.
recreational use. And that's
Okay.
it's the same one we've had for the last couple of years, 2 or 3 years now, and it's the same. Everything is staying the same as it was before. All we're doing is the minor changes inside the building to get a little bit more room and moving the bathroom. So everything was done and approved like 2 or 3 years ago when we were there, and it's
Okay.
the same site. Nothing has been changed.
That was before my time.
No, I recall it. We were there a
Thank
couple of
you.
years.
Yeah,
I think
thank
it
you.
was 2018.
Yeah,
The approval was, I believe.
that's correct.
Mr. Chair,
23rd, yes.
Commissioner Campbell, I received a blueprint on SPR 18896. Is this the same business?
That's an old blueprint. That's from,
Okay.
that's from 10/23/18,
Okay, the original.
original, right?
Okay,
That was for
Okay,
just the
thank-
bathroom at that time.
right. Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Are there any other questions from the commission to the applicant? Okay, hearing none, what is the desire of the commission? What is the desire of the
Mr.
commission?
Chair,
Yes,
Commissioner Campbell, like to make the motion to approve SPR 20-933 Lindsay Medical Supply Station with noted changes on the cover sheet, also the PID number correction, and I believe that's it, and the name change.
okay.
I think those are the only 3 changes.
I support that, Commissioner Campbell.
Thank you.
Okay, it's been moved and properly supported that SPR 20-933 Lindsay Med Supply Station at 1960 West Hemphill Road with the necessary correction to the PID number, which should be 40 instead of 10. And the draft name
Bathroom,
and the name on the blueprint should reflect Lindsay Med Supply Station instead of the Head Shop plus Tobacco Station. That
right.
what we got there? Any further
Mr.
discussion?
Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. Was
Okay.
the third item the correct spelling of Lindsay? Was that to make sure that was the third item, to make sure there was the correct spelling?
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's spelled differently in 2 places. And
It's
as I
2
understand it, the correct spelling is LIND, Z as in zebra, Y apostrophe S. Okay. Correct spelling on Lindsay. Any other discussion? Okay. Hearing none. Roll for approval with necessary corrections.
Commissioner
Roll.
Ryan? Commissioner Campbell?
Yes, with necessary corrections?
Commissioner Blauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Jewell?
Yes, with the necessary corrections.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins?
Yes, with necessary correction.
Commissioner Sorensen?
Yes, with corrections, please.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Wesley?
Yes. To the applicant, the site plan has been approved pending the necessary corrections, which has been outlined to you. When you get that to our office with those corrections, then you receive a certified copy for your site plan.
Okay, we will do that.
Thank you.
Get it corrected.
Next item is case review status of PC 20-930 North Star Landscaping Plan. Suzanne, Ms. Wilcott.
We have, my recollection is that this was approved with administrative review where we were to call Chairman Wesley or his designee in to review this plan. So we did receive the landscape plan, and I need to make arrangements with you, Chairman Wesley, to review this. It's something I think that we can send to you, but I also have another item that I need to discuss with you. So I was going to get with you and make arrangements to review the landscaping plan and discuss the other issue. Is that your recollection?
Yes.
We did receive it.
Okay. So we're gonna set up a meeting physically, socially distanced?
No, I can actually email it to you. I just need to I need to discuss, we need to have a phone conference about that and something else. But I did receive it via email and I will send it to you.
Okay, that'll be fine. We can set up that, we can have a phone conversation.
Yep.
On that, okay?
No, I just want to let the group know that we did receive the landscaping plan.
All right, very good. Next is gonna be the public hearing. It's gonna be PC 20375 Barco Farms LLC, Regina Mangolas.
Yes. Mamgautis.
Mangoudis,
Yes.
requesting a Group E special regulated use permit for an adult use recreational marijuana retail facility at 6200 North Dort Highway, PID 4729102-044. Okay, is the applicant present on
Yes.
Zoom? All right, tell us about your request for a special regulated use permit for adult use recreational marijuana at 6200 North Dort Highway.
I'm currently applying for adult use recreational so that we may facilitate everybody in our city. So I have submitted all the paperwork and documents necessary, hopefully that everything was there for all the commissioners to review. And if they have any questions, please ask me.
Okay, this is a grandfathered in location. Questions from the commission? Questions from the commission to the applicant?
This is Commissioner Jordan. Ms.
Go ahead.
Mamgautis, I know that this is a grandfathered in location. but given that it is within 300 feet of a residential area, I wonder if you could address what kinds of buffers, barriers, or other protections there are in place at that location that would address the being within 300 feet of residential.
Currently, we have a 6-foot fence around the entire facility, and it's 3 acres between myself and my nearest neighbor, who I've already spoke to all of my neighbors, and they're in full approval of my facility.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I understand you said there's 3 acres between you and your nearest neighbor?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. In the packet that we received, and as a follow-up to Commissioner Jordan, the parcel, we're not talking about the building or the person, but the parcel is located within 300 feet of a residential zoning district. And those of you who may or may not be aware, I went online, and the residential area is in the rear of the parcel, and there's a residential area back there. And so, as it stands right now, it for the Group E area, it does not meet the required locational standards. The second item that I have, and I direct this to you, Mr. Chair, in looking at the application, I noticed on page 9, for it says City of Flint Medical Marijuana Locational Limitation Review, even though that's being used for recreational, it is noted in the staff review that it doesn't meet the residential zoning district, but it's not noted as such. The other item that I have is for the applicant, where you said you had spoken to the residents. Are they going to be presenting this evening, or do you have any documentation from them regarding their support?
No, I went to their home and knocked on their doors and introduced myself and let them know that there was a meeting. That's all I did.
Okay, so as Judge Judy would say,
right.
Yes, they share their view with you. However, we don't have any from you any documentation to that effect.
I understand.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Chair, I don't have any other questions at this point, but I do have an item for discussion later. Oh, I do have a question. My apologies, Mr. Chair. Ma'am, when you said you're now going to be moving to an adult recreational retail facility, could you walk us through what would be occurring? So I come in, I approach the building and I come in. Tell me what happens.
You will come into the building. You will be it's still medical also, so I will have both. So you're going to approach my building, and you will be when you enter the building. If we ever get out of COVID, you will enter the building and be asked if you're a medical patient, and or if you are a adult use recreational patient. In both cases, you'll be asked for an ID to prove your age, and then the medical person will be escorted to the medical cases, and the recreational person will be escorted to the recreational dispensing area.
Okay, so I've now been escorted to the recreational marijuana retail portion of your facility. Right. What happens then? I'm standing there. What goes on?
Yeah. At that point, you will be asked to select what products you would like. You'll have a bartender who will facilitate helping you select based on your condition or based on your wants, help you select an item. And then they will provide the purchase, do the transaction, and then they are escorted through the exit and out the door.
Okay. Could you elaborate a bit on the security that you have there?
Yes, I have DM Burst Security Services, and then in the evening I have DM Burst Security Services in a car parked in front of my building all night with a gentleman in it.
Okay.
And then
Thank you.
I also have roll-up doors being installed currently right now, the last 2 days. In addition to that, I have Guardian Alarm, who has secured the entire building with all the cameras required by the state of Michigan to ensure that we are passing their law even for security.
Okay. Thank you ever so much.
You're welcome.
Other questions from the commission to the applicant?
Mr.
So-
Chair,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell,
Yes.
I'm trying to figure out, this was maybe a couple of months ago when this was first presented. Wasn't it presented by a gentleman that was going to do the recreational? And he came in with his plan and everything, and he presented it. And so he went to the owner, and she said, yes, they could separate the building. Is this the same one that's on Dort Highway?
Yes, but that's not what I'm applying for at this moment.
You're applying for recreational, correct?
Yes, for my dispensing, for my provisioning center only. That gentleman cannot even apply until the city of Flint has an ordinance for adult use, because it's an adult use social equity program.
Okay, and I just want to receive clarification, because I remember I was not at this, physically at this meeting, but I remember the gentleman getting up saying that he wanted to open it up and it would help him and his family and the whole 9 yards. So this is the same. But now under you, it's just coming under you now. That gentleman is he's no longer eligible to be
in that. He's still eligible. Once the state or once the city of Flint opts into an ordinance, he can now apply to the state for the social equity program, showing that, the city has approved that ordinance. And at that point, we will come back to the city of Flint and then ask for a cultivation license at that point.
Cultivation?
Yes. It'll be
because your building, if I remember, your building was divided into 3 parts.
Right.
The building. Okay. So it's divided into 3 parts, and it started off in a provisional center quite a while ago. Then the gentleman came, I don't remember his name, but I remember hearing him saying that what he wanted to do with it in order to take care of his family. And now you're doing the second part. Now you're saying also you will be coming back the third time for that other 20, I think it was 20 feet? Is it 2,000 feet for cultivation?
Correct. If that, if the city opts in and has an ordinance, but right now we're not even applying for that.
Okay, so you're just now applying not under his name, but your name because you own the building, correct?
Right. This is my dispensary only. I'm the sole member. Nobody's applying with me. This is only mine.
Okay. I just want to make sure it was the same case. Thank you very much.
Yeah. You're welcome, ma'am.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. The items that Commissioner Campbell raised, which are very excellent ones, if our fellow colleagues look at the staff report submitted for this particular item, they'll note that the second and part of the third page of the document gives the background information related to this site as well as to the items that Commissioner Campbell just raised.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yes. Are there any other questions from the commission to the applicant?
I have a question for the applicant, Commissioner Sorensen here. Who is Nigel Campbell that you have listed in your application on page 4?
He's one of my bartenders.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. My policy is to hire Flint citizens, so that's what I've been doing, and that's who he is.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission to the applicant? Okay, that portion is closed. Now, is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor? Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of PC 20375 Barco Farms LLC, request for a Group E special regulated use permit for an adult use recreational marijuana retail facility at 6200 North Dort Highway? Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wish to speak in favor? Lindsay, is there anyone on the line that you see? I mean, KZ, sorry.
No.
Okay. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. Anyone wishing to oppose PC 20375 Barco Farms, request for a Group E special regulated use permit for an adult use recreational marijuana facility at 6200 North Dort Highway? Anyone wishing to oppose? Anyone wishing to oppose? KZ, anyone on the line for that? Did
No.
you see? Okay. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. What
Mr.
is the
Chair?
desire? Oh,
Yeah, Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. As I usually ask through you to the staff, have there been any other correspondence, emails, phone calls, or communications regarding this public hearing?
Commissioner Wesley, there has been
Yes.
no correspondence for this hearing.
okay. Right. What is the desire of the commission?
I have a question, Commissioner Wesley.
Yes.
So on the staff report for this PC 2375, the existing land use patterns where it's giving the north, east, south, and west. So are we saying that the east to the east side of this building is residential as opposed to industrial? Or is it a certain percentage has, whatever is the greatest gets the rating, or what? If there's industrial and then some residential, but there's more industrial, is that why it's deemed industrial?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. What kind of, I'm sorry, I was going to ask the applicant, but thank you.
Commissioner, Mr.
Sorensen, what was your
Chair.
question?
I was just going to ask what type of residential was it? Was it, are they all, 20 feet apart from one another? Are they all have big oversized lots? Is it acreage or what? Because I know it's, it's out there where it could potentially be larger than a city lot, but what kind of space is it for those homes that are there?
From what I can remember, it's basically industrial. Back where it's residential is a far piece from this facility.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
this is Commissioner Jewell.
yes.
In response or in follow-up to Commissioner Sorensen's, the residential online, yes, they had looked at this, and if anybody wants to, they can. The front part, the buildings itself and the front part and to the west are all industrial.
Right.
The back side or the east side is all residential, and it is a neighborhood.
Mhm.
If you look at it, there are houses, I cannot give you the amount of footage between each house, but it is if you look at it, you can see it's a design neighborhood. There's not a residential home there and then one over there and so forth. It is I'll use the term a planned residential area.
Okay.
So there is that, and we're talking about the parcel. We're not talking about the building, but we're talking about the parcel. And the other item that I wanted to share with my colleagues is, as noted in the staff report, and I'll read this. The parcel, as described, currently does not meet the required locational standards. The facility is located within 300 feet of a residential zoning district. The other item I'd like to share with my colleagues, if they might remember, several months ago, there was another applicant who already had an existing medical marijuana facility off on Miller Road that we had approved the previous years, and we're in a process of submitting to us to establish an adult recreational retail operation. That applicant never presented to us. However, the residents in the area both presented to us during public forum as well as to City Council concerns and issues related to moving to a recreational retail operation next to a residential area, in which that particular parcel was adjacent to a residential area. So my particular concern that I have as a commissioner is that if we take a look at approving a recreational retail operation within the residential zoning requirement parameters, we may leave ourselves open to similar concerns down the road and not being, I'll use the term, respectful of the residential area. I appreciated the applicant's commentary regarding talking to the neighbor or neighbors, but as we know of this evening, we have not received any communication either for or against the application. So again, I, as a commissioner, would have difficulty in supporting this, particularly in light of its location. It doesn't meet the required locational standards.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Campbell, when we approved that provisional center, how many feet did we have to be from the residential at that point? Was it 500, 1,000? I'm sorry?
I think it was 5.
I mean, the building is the same. It hasn't changed.
Right. It was 300 and now it's still 300 and my building is still 300.
Okay, that was what I'm asking. It was the same. We've already approved provisional
Right.
center. Now you're being concerned about the
Right.
recreational when you're the
Right.
same. And I'm
Right.
saying this because I brought up before about the provisional center. I'm sorry, but I didn't approve it because it was 300 to the neighborhood. but it was approved by the commission. So at this point, I guess what you're going to also have to look at is this applicant has stated that she's now coming back for cultivation for that last 2,000 square feet. So we're going to have to come up with a decision to how we're going to handle that
So
if this is approved.
I think that because this is a grandfathered in location, and perhaps one of the other commissioners could weigh in, but it was approved under not the MMFLA ordinance, and I don't believe the locational standards were in place for the previous ordinance that were put in place under MMFLA. So I don't believe there was a locational requirement that they be more than 300 feet away at the time that this was approved and then grandfathered in. So I think you're looking at different standards that were put in place with both MMFLA and then the new proposed ordinance. So I think you have to take that into consideration, and perhaps one of the other commissioners who was part of this might remember that, Commissioner Jordan or something, but I believe that the ordinance that it was adopted under, the initial ordinance, did not have the same locational standards.
This is Commissioner
Mr.
Jordan.
Chair, this is
Hold on just a second, Commissioner Jewell. Commissioner Jordan?
Thank you. Yes, my recollection is consistent with Suzanne's, that we had our very first medical marijuana ordinance that it did not have the residential distance into it. And there were a certain number of cases, this being one, that was approved under that initial ordinance. Subsequently, the updated ordinance that was passed did have the 300-foot locational standards, and that's been in place since that time moving forward. I think in terms of the questions of the grandfathered location, we have had, to my understanding, some guidance from legal regarding to the factors that we can consider. And so that my understanding is that being within 300 feet of residential in a grandfathered location isn't necessarily on its own a deal breaker, but consistent with how we've looked at some other cases, there are different contextual features that might be specific to the location that might make that compatibility with adjacent land uses a concern or not. And we certainly have had cases where we've looked at that particular grandfathered location and said, in this situation, it isn't compatible with the nearby uses. So I do think that it is important for us to take into account what the adjacent land use patterns are and how this site interacts with those around it to determine whether there's likely to be a detrimental effect on the neighboring area.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Jewell.
I also concur with Commissioner Jordan and also with Suzanne. There was a whole different set of criteria and standards. The other item is that in those days when we were looking at medical marijuana facilities, we're looking at it from a medical perspective as a public health related issue, not necessarily as a recreational retail operation. And I just wanted to add that just to reaffirm the commentary that Suzanne and Commissioner Jordan made.
All right.
For point of order.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, Commissioner Wesley, this is Bill Vandercook. If you don't mind, I'd like to clarify something. There is a mistake on a staff report that I noticed. I want to bring this to the commissioner's attention. On the staff report, in existing zoning patterns, I thought this was changed, but it's not. The property to the north is not zoned F. Existing zoning pattern is D6, which is commercial. The property to the south is not zoned F, it's D6, which is commercial. The property to the west is also zoned D6. So they're all commercial. The subject property is D6. The properties around it are zoned commercial, D6.
This is Commissioner Jordan.
Yes.
Bill, I do have a clarifying question on that last point that you made.
Yes.
In terms of the status of the subject property, my recollection is that the applicant came before us to request a rezoning of the property from D6 to E so that it would be potentially eligible for growing at a future point in time. And I believe that we had approved that.
I believe you're correct, Commissioner Jordan. I believe that had to go to the city council, and I'm not sure the status of that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that was, my recollection was that they did come before us and we did make a recommendation for that to be changed to E. So, and I don't know what council, I'm at a loss to know what council did with it at that time. But, you know, and then looking at my comments is that look at compatibility to adjacent usage and everything around there basically is industrial, heavy industrial. You know, you got
Salvage yards.
yeah, salvage yards, all that type of stuff all around that area. And I don't know that if we were to grant the request, that would make a dilatory effect on that area, which would be different from the Miller Road and the Corona Road properties that came before us. Those neighborhoods abutted, property lines abutted houses within less than 300 feet of those facilities. So that's just my comments on that one.
Commissioner West.
Any other discussion? Anybody else have any thoughts?
Commissioner West, one more point of order or something I'd like to just bring to the commissioner's attention, if you don't mind. If you look at a map of the property and the actual parcels, the property that is directly to the east is owned by Consumers Energy. And that's a big easement that is between the subject property and the residential area.
Right.
You can't even see the house from my building. Even if you stood on the roof, you can't even see the house, the next house from my building.
Okay. Well, to the applicant, you know, this is a discussion between commissioners at this point.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We appreciate your commentary, but not at this point.
Yep.
Any other discussion from the commission?
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. Mr. Chair, I appreciate your commentary and clarification as well as the other clarifications. And I think that if a decision is made to approve this special regulated use for retail recreational use, we need to be clear and concise and consistent in our rationale for doing as such in relationship to adjacent land use and so forth, whether it be pro or con. So, Mr. Chair, I just share that as a reinforcement statement.
Yes. Okay. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none. What is the desire of the commission concerning PC 20375 Barco Farms request for a Group E special regulated use permit for an adult use recreational marijuana retail facility at 6200 North Dort Highway?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell, I'd like to make the motion that we approve SP 2375, PID 47-29-102-044 for the adult marijuana. I believe that was everything in there.
Okay, would you like to,
Special
Put a little-
regulation, I'm sorry.
put a little findings behind your request for approval, like the distance or the,
Well, it is, I'm on that part of Dort Highway all the time, but again, I'm going by our ruling. If it's already been granted before, for us not to grant this now wouldn't make sense. Would not make sense.
Chairman Wesley, this is Commissioner
Yeah.
Jordan. If I might offer a couple of findings as well. One, I would note that the adjacent uses on Dort Highway, which is really where the frontage of the property is, that those are uses that would be compatible with this based on the land use plan. And secondly, that there is a significant buffer between this building and the residential uses as noted through the consumer's energy easement. And those are conditions that are not, that are very much unique to this property and not necessarily indicative of some of those other cases that we've decided differently on.
okay. Do I hear support for the motion?
I'll support Ms. Campbell's motion. Commissioner Sorensen.
Okay, I've heard the motion is been moved and properly supported with findings that PC, yes,
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. Commissioner Campbell, are you comfortable with those findings and recommendations as provided by Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Okay, regarding the adjacent land use on Dort Highway and the buffer zone, and comfortable including that in the motion?
Yes, I am. I would like to
Okay.
include those in the motion.
And is Commissioner Sorensen comfortable with supporting that on the second?
Absolutely, thank you.
Okay.
Can I continue now, Commissioner Jewell?
You were asking for clarification. Okay.
All right. So
Thank you, Commissioner Jewell.
the
Thank you.
motion to approve with findings for PC 2375 Barco Farms, request for a Group E special regulated use permit for an adult use of recreational marijuana retail facility at 6200 North Dort Highway. Roll.
Commissioner Ryan. Commissioner Campbell.
Mr. Chair, this is
Yes.
Commissioner Jewell. Does your statement include the findings as we discussed?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Jewell.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Very well.
Commissioner Campbell.
Yes, with the findings discussed.
Commissioner Blauer.
Yes, with the findings.
Commissioner Jewell.
I will be supporting yes with the findings as noted.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins.
Yes, with the finding.
Commissioner Lindsay. Commissioner Sorensen. I'm sorry.
Yes, with the findings.
Commissioner Jordan.
Yes.
Commissioner Wesley.
Yes, with the findings as discussed. To the applicant, your request for a Group E special regulated use permit for an adult use recreational marijuana retail facility at 6200 North Dort Highway have been approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Next item on our agenda is PC 20376 D9 AG LLC requests for a Group F special regulated use permit for a growing marijuana facility at 3711 Glory Avenue, PID 41094260043. Is the applicant present?
I am.
Tell us about your request for a Group F special regulated use permit for a growing facility at the 3711 address.
We're looking to open a Class C grow in Flint, support some local people with jobs, and supply the local dispensaries with products.
Questions from the commission? Is that your whole presentation?
I mean, is there any questions? I have answers to anything you'd like to know.
Questions from the commission to the applicant?
This is Commissioner Jewell. Sir, could you introduce yourself?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. My name is Michael Klingler.
How do you spell the last name, Michael?
It is Klingler.
Role with D9 AG LLC.
I am an equity holder and the managing member of the facility.
Okay, can you give us an overview of the organization and the administrative structure?
Certainly. So there's myself and Kathy Bozick. She is the investor, and Stephen Landau, who is doing our legal.
Okay, could you give us insight on the operation of the facility? How would it operate? What would it look like? Walk me through. I arrived. Tell me what I'm going to be seeing. Tell me how you're going to be operating. Tell me what's going to be occurring.
Certainly. I mean, generally nobody from the public will arrive at our facility. But if you arrive,
Michael, I know that, but
oh, okay.
Just give me a tour. Pretend I'm there. You're going to give me a tour. You're going to give me an overview of what's happening with your operation and so forth.
Certainly. I mean, so if you came in through our front entrance, you'd come into the office. That's where the administration and Metric will be. I'm sure you're familiar with Metric, but that will be quarterbacking all the operations for the grow itself. Go through the doorway through that, and you will be in a hallway that will have our different rooms for drying, our supplies, our trimming room. And then next to all those, we'll have 6 rooms that will flower the plants in, 1 large vegetative room, break room, bathrooms, and it's pretty simple design and facility itself.
Okay, a little insight on the security.
So we have, as you heard with Baco Farms, we have to have security cameras from head to toe. That's also live with the state police. We'll have a full security system. We already have fence all the way around the facility, and we'll also be contacting a couple professionals for an overview of the security.
Okay. And you can correct me. I went a little bit online, looked at the facility, looked at your documents, and correct me if I'm wrong. You're sort of in the midst of an industrial area. Would that be a correct statement? If I'm correct, your Gorey Road is just off of Center Road, and it's west of the Aldi shopping place, and behind there's a Chinese food store restaurant there. And you're in the back part of that area.
Yes, the area is correct. I can't confirm on the 2 business locations, but yes.
Okay. And you're just kind of I think you're south of the railroad tracks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
there's
you're
Interstate Battery and Happy Can, and
right,
Goyette
right,
on our road.
right.
Goyette,
And
Goyette there?
Yes.
yeah. And my reason, Michael, for raising those questions for clarification is so we can get a visual picture of the actual, and I did see the building and so forth. And I do know we're not going through a site plan right now, okay? we're just focusing, we're focusing on your SPRU permit and so forth. Okay, that's helpful to me. Thank you, Michael.
Okay. You're very welcome.
Okay, other questions from the commission to the applicant?
Chairman Wesley, this is Commissioner Jordan.
Yeah.
To the applicant, I did have a question to follow up on the security plan. So when I was reading through your security plan, it seemed like there were a few spots where you mentioned that you would be contracting with a security professional to develop a security plan.
Correct.
Elaborate on that, please.
Just because of the phase we're in, there'll be a few changes to the way the building's probably laid out based on the state requirements. And then going from those changes, it'll be best to have the full security plan made after that.
So as a follow-up, would you anticipate that you will have on-site security personnel? And if so, for how many hours per day?
Yes, that's the plan as of now, and we would do it when we were closed or during the night.
Okay, because I noticed that your security plan didn't make any mention of security personnel.
Okay.
Anything else, Commissioner Jordan?
I think the only other question I typically ask of applicants that have indicated a community benefits agreement of some sort as part of their plans to verify that you understand and acknowledge that should this be approved at the point of your annual relicensing, that you would be asked to report back about those community benefits, to report what you'd actually achieve. So for example, you've indicated that you want to hire people from Flint as part of the relicensing process, then you would be expected to report back the number of people that you hired from Flint, or similarly, your involvement in the blight efforts and that sort of thing.
That's understood.
Thank you.
What percentage of, how many employees you plan on to have in your employ?
I believe we'll have approximately 30 employees when we're fully running.
How many of those employees you think would be from, out of that 30 individuals, how many of those, what percentage would you say would be local or Flint residents?
I mean, everybody besides for who is part of the startup our business now, which is just a few of us, and eventually it could be 100%.
So what would, you know, as
80% minimum. I'm sorry to not answer the question.
80% minimum local employees, correct?
Correct. That is correct.
All right. The other questions from the commission to the applicant?
Mr. Chair, to the applicant, Commissioner Blauer. Just clarification, you kind of touched on it there. In your staffing plan, your lead sentence is the majority of the workforce in our marijuana industry will come from local community. So this is where you are now stating that up 80% or above would be local, being Flint, Genesee County. Can you just clarify that statement again for me?
I would say mostly Flint. I am saying Genesee County. I currently own a hydroponic store in Burton. So I'm just south of you guys, and I know a lot of people there, but a lot of our customers are into Flint. I have to take qualified local people, and I'll do my best to find them all in Flint if that's the concern, but Genesee County is what I guess I'm saying. Or not even all of Genesee County, just the greater Flint area, maybe.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell.
Go ahead, Commissioner Jewell.
Yeah, Mike, I'm a little bit confused. First I heard Flint, then I heard local Genesee County area, then I heard greater Flint area. From what I'm hearing, it sounds like the circle keeps getting bigger.
I don't mean to. Yes, sir.
Well, can you help clarify? First, you said 80% would probably be Flint area, and then now it's
Flint and Flint Township. That's I guess what I mean. That is what I mean.
Well, Mike, I appreciate your input, but when you say "I guess," that's not helping me. Okay. Because you're then saying you're not sure. And if you're one of the major partners of this operation and you're looking for a special regulated use from us, and we're trying to get a handle on how you're envisioning what's going on, and you're not quite sure, that raises some real questions. It was similar to...
I apologize for that.
But that's why we need your help. It was similar when Commissioner Jordan asked you about the security plan that you were going to develop it, and you said yes, but you didn't really go. And then you said, well, it's sort of like what the other people were doing. I didn't really hear a very clear, organized, directed approach of how you were going to be operating.
Okay, I mean, addressing the security plan, what I meant there is the state's very rigid and it will supersede your standards. So when we follow those, I'm sure you'll be very happy with it. And then again, I didn't mean to get so ambiguous with the...
Okay, but Mike, this is Commissioner Jewell. If you're going to talk about hiring local folks, I need a better sense of what your actual projected goals are. If you're going to talk about security and just say, well, whatever they want, I need to hear from you what you're planning on doing, not what they want, but what you're planning on doing.
I mean, absolutely. Our plan is to have 80% plus of local people.
Okay, and how would you
reason?
How are you going to define? How are you, as a major partner in this operation, defining local?
I mean, just like I said, because I've operated a business just outside of Flint now, I have a fairly large part of my team put together, and they've lived in Flint for their whole life.
Okay, so you're saying 80% of the team you're looking at of bringing in is Flint residents?
Correct.
Okay. All right. We're just looking for specifics, okay?
I understand.
And now if we just briefly go back to the security effort, you do know that you're going to be coming back for a site plan. And in that site plan, you're going to need to be able to define, at least from my perspective, a little bit more detail on the specifics of your security operation.
And that's exactly when we'll have the brands of everything picked out, the details laid out, and I'll be able to give you everything you're asking.
Yeah, but Mike, and I may be misinterpreting the manner in which you're presenting yourself, okay? And I apologize. But from a business perspective, we're trying to hear from you what you're seeing as your plan, What are the specifics of it? That's why when I asked you to walk me through what was to be occurring, so we could get a flavor and a sense of how it's going to be operating, how it's going to be functioning, versus, and I may be misinterpreting, and if I am, I sincerely apologize. What I'm interpreting is, well, we'll get there. Well, we're planning on this, but I'm not hearing the specifics of the who, what, how, when, and where, and why. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I apologize that we're having that barrier, and I'm truly doing my best to not.
Commissioner Jewell, I
Yes.
think I can appreciate the instructions you're trying to give Mr. Michael Klingler.
Yes, sir.
But I think when he comes back with his site plan, you have to identify, security, the type of security, location of cameras, and all of that he should be real detailed on when he bring that back before us on his site plan and the business plan, which would outline his employees and their flow chart, which I see in here with, when he outlined he's the CEO and on and so forth. I think there was some good instructions you've given him, but I think we can deal with that detail when he comes back before us with his site plan review, and hopefully he have an idea, a better outline, what he wants to provide to this commission. So saying that and moving on. Go ahead.
Right, Chairman, and I appreciate that. As most of my colleagues know, I'm trying to be consistent in my normal parameters of each applicant, but thank you ever so much.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission to the applicant?
Mr. Chair, I have
2 questions.
Okay.
This
Who
is
is
Cook
that?
Hawkins.
Okay, go ahead.
I heard that you have a business outside of Flint and that's fully staffed. With the staff question, are you planning on transferring that staff there to this business, or are you going to hire?
No. Yeah, hire all new people.
And those people will come from Flint?
Yeah, because they're customers of that store now.
Okay, and my second question was, I'm looking at your security plan with the video surveillance. It says only inside. Are you going to have cameras outside as well?
We will.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chair, I do have another question. Commissioner Blauer. To the applicant, can you just expand? We touched on it earlier, your community benefits endeavors. Can you explain to me what those are and elaborate as you see fit?
Yeah, certainly. First of all, I was nervous and I forgot to introduce a few people that are with me. There's attorney Brenda Williams, Phil Bozick, and attorney Stephen Lando. And if you don't mind, I'll defer that question to Philip Bozick.
Hi there, Philip Bozick. I handle public relations, and so I'm helping out a little bit. Sorry, I didn't get introduced, so I didn't know if I could jump in or not. So now that I'm on here a little bit, I can jump in on the community benefit portion of all this. Yeah, community benefits are a very, very important thing as part of this. We want to be a good neighbor. We do want to work with light. We want to clean things up. I don't know if any of you guys have driven down Gorey Avenue recently. There's a little bit of trash on the streets. We want to help clean that up, clean up the street there, make it a little bit nicer. One of the other issues is that some of the street lights are out. It can be a little dark at night. Some of the partners here are involved in LED lighting businesses subsequent to this company. And so more than happy to donate LED light fixtures, not just to the street, Gorey Avenue, but also to the city of Flint. That's something we're very passionate about, making sure the streets are properly lit and safe for everybody. So those are just a couple of the benefits, along with some of the other stuff that we've listed. We're very, very big about community.
as a follow-up to the applicant, but you are committing to there's those along with a number of others, including donating food drives and such in your application. You are committing to those today?
Absolutely.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission to the applicant? I see that, and I know I would be remiss if I didn't give Attorney Brendan Williams to add her 30 seconds.
Can you guys hear me? First of all, Mr. Commissioner Jewell, I understood very much what you were asking my client. And I can assure you that when they came to me and we discussed community benefits, and I did discuss with them that while Flint is allowing so many of these businesses to come into our community, that we had to get something back from your business. And one of the things that we needed was employment, as well as continuous employment training. That is, and the majority of the people should come from Flint and not from Grand Blanc, Swartz Creek, Flushing. So I believe that D9 is committed to that. They're committed to doing also continuous training and continuous improvement in their operations if they are so granted the opportunity to do so. As it relates to the security, I believe that what he was saying was one of the things that we had talked about was not only the cameras, but also the CAT program. And that I do know that that is one of the programs that this body has been encouraging of others, as well as the fact that I believe is noted in our ordinance. As well as we would like to get someone who understands Flint and who is a security expert to come in and help set up a security plan that is protective of the site as well as the surrounding community.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other questions from the commission to the applicant or Attorney Williams or Community Relations Bozick? Any other questions? Commissioner Campbell?
Yes, sir.
Your thing sort of lit up on my computer, and I thought you was getting ready to say something.
Oh.
Commissioner Jewell?
No, I'm sorry.
No, I'm fine.
Okay, very good. Hearing none, thank you very much. I'll open it up for the public now. Is there anyone in the public wishing to speak in favor of PC 20376 D9 AG LLC request for F special regulated use permit for a growing marijuana facility at 3711 Gorey Ave, PID 4109426043. Anyone wishing to speak in favor?
Yes, my name is Regina Mamgaudas of Baco Farms Provisioning, and I'm totally in favor of it. And I support the fact that he would take caregivers from Flint who are also awesome growers and give them a legitimate job that they can have a career at. And for me, it also gives me an opportunity as a distribution channel to be able to have product that's grown by Flint local people. So I, for one, support it. As I was going to a vendor today in Harrison Township, the street was lined up with buildings that were 80 to 100,000 square feet. One was called Pleasant Trees. The other was called Gage. and there were hundreds of cars, and they were all working and having jobs at these facilities that grow cannabis. It was just truly amazing to see that, and I would love to see the same in Flint. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone else wish to speak in favor? That portion of the public hearing is, before I do that, KZ, anyone else is on the line for that?
No.
Okay. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. Anyone wishing to oppose? Anyone wishing to oppose PC 20376 D9 AG request for a F special regulated use permit for a growing marijuana facility at 3711 Gorey Ave, Flint? Anyone wishing to oppose? Anyone wishing to oppose? That portion of the public hearing is now closed. What is the desire of the commission?
Chair, this
Yes.
is Commissioner Jewell. As I usually ask through you to Bill, staff, have there been any other communications, correspondence, calls, emails regarding this public hearing?
There has been, this is Bill Vandercook, there's been no correspondence regarding this hearing.
Okay. All right. What is the desire of the commission?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would like to make a motion for approval of PC 20376 D9 AG LLC, the request for a Group F special regulated use permit for a growing marijuana facility at 3711 Gorey Ave, PID 4109426043.
Support, second.
Who is that, Ms. Campbell?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Jewell. Carol Ann, in making your motion, do you have any particular findings that you wanted to focus on specifically so that we're consistent, such as appropriate land use, et cetera?
With the 5 standards, especially being compatible with adjacent uses of land, and yeah, I think number 1 would be the number 1 finding in my motion. If anyone has any others I would like to add.
So number 1, compatible to the adjacent land use?
Correct.
All right.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Campbell, also the employment of an employees, additional jobs coming into the area.
Okay. All right. It's been a motion and made and properly supported with findings for number 1, compatible, that it fits into, it's compatible with the adjacent land use around it. And it fits into the master plan. Yes?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Joel. Commissioner Blauer, and if you look at the intent of the master plan and future land use plan, I think this is an excellent location. Is that something that you would see as appropriate also?
Very appropriate. Yes, sir.
Okay.
I would be comfortable with adding that to the findings.
Okay.
I would be comfortable supporting.
Very good. No further discussion. Roll.
Commissioner Ryan, Commissioner Campbell,
Yes, with the finding.
Commissioner Blauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Jewell,
Yes, with the findings noted.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins,
Yes, with the finding.
Commissioner Sorensen,
Yes, with the findings.
Commissioner Wesley,
Yes, with the findings.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Kingsley, your request for a Group F special regulated use permit for a growing marijuana facility at 3711 Gorey Ave have been approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is reports. Ms. Kelly Thompson, Assistant City Attorney, status of the permanent marijuana ordinance.
Good evening, Commissioners and Mr. Chair. The proposed ordinance, the proposed permanent ordinance is before council and should be considered sometime soon. And I wanted to add that the social equity provisions are included in the permanent ordinance, which was mentioned by the applicant from Backo Farms. So that is in the proposed permanent ordinance and will be part of our review process going forward once it's passed.
Okay. Questions from the commission to Attorney Thompson?
Yes, this is Commissioner Jewell. In our previous discussions, there were some indications of possible additions or changes versus what we had recommended. Could you give insight to any changes or revisions or updates?
I actually have a call scheduled with Ms. Owen tomorrow. So I'll be speaking with her tomorrow, and any changes that I would recommend to the commission and to city council, I will bring before the commission at the next meeting. But again, I'm speaking with her over the phone tomorrow.
Okay.
You said Mrs. Owens?
Yeah, Kristen Owen. She's
Who's-
I believe she's a resident in I believe she's near the near Miller Road, somewhere in that area. I'm not exactly sure what her address is or in what ward she lives.
She's in Ward 8. Hi, this is Suzanne. She's in Ward 8, and she's been one of the speakers and one of the organizers of the Woodcroft Estates, kind of group that was opposed to and is opposed generally to adult use marijuana near residences. So she has provided some language similar to how others have done, and she has asked us to take a look at it. So this is not, as Kelly is saying, this is just a discussion. It's looking at what makes sense with our ordinance. Obviously, it's going before council. You have already approved the ordinance, so it's just a conversation to hear, some of her concerns. She shared them with us, and then similar to what happened with the permanent ordinance, having those same conversations with council.
Okay.
So this is Commissioner
And
Jordan.
just to add to that, sorry, go ahead.
I appreciate the clarification. I would just add that I think it's certainly appropriate that we be kept informed as to how this progresses with council, but I'm not expecting that we would see any proposed ordinance amendment before us, that we've kind of have made our recommendations, and as part of their process of final adoption, certainly council may entertain various amendments as they see fit. So I just wanted to clarify that when you said you were going to be bringing it back to the Planning Commission, that is kind of an update as opposed to seeking action on something.
Right, and to go off of that, I think that some of the proposals that Ms. Owen has might become part of a policy that's not necessarily written into the ordinance, but something that can be implemented as part of the review process for all marijuana licenses. So that's going to be part of the conversation.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Commissioner Wesley, just as a side note, and Thompson, and maybe this is a premature question. When you made reference about policy, in a review process, I think that might be something that there is a need for additional conversation on in regards to who establishes policy. It's the legislative body's responsibility for the city of Flint to determine those parameters and those policies. There are other groups and bodies established as ourselves as the Planning Commission in making recommendations for as well as actually establishing policy. So, Mr. Chair, I just have a concern about the manner in which that term policy and review and how that was going to occur. So that is open conversation and food for thought.
Okay. Policy.
Mr. Chair, I think I could respond to that just briefly. By policy, I just mean our process for reviewing applications. So the city council is obviously going to pass the legislation and the ordinance that will be the law that governs marijuana licensing. But just as far as the day-to-day process of taking in applications, presenting them to Planning Commission, and the review process, that's what I meant by policy. So obviously, the city council is going to pass the ordinance that will be the law. But I just mean in terms of general process.
Okay. Mr. Chair, and Kelly, I appreciate that clarification. When I think of the dynamics of how things occur, I look at them from the issue of law, policy, procedure, regulations, guidelines, and process. And those are all different kind of steps. You know, because once a policy is established, set in the procedures and the process to ensure that policy.
Understood.
Okay. Yeah. This would be quite interesting. I'm sure it's going to be with a lot of further discussion on that. Before anything is really enacted. Okay. Ms. Thompson, anything else?
Nothing further from me, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Wilcox, for status of the draft zoning ordinance and capital improvement plan?
I don't really have any updates. The draft zoning ordinance, though, we have had some conversations with both administration and at least one council person about the timing of the zoning ordinance. We are continuing to have dialogue to determine if it still makes sense to wait until the adoption of the permanent recreational ordinance, which is our goal, and that is actually my preference given staffing issues right now. But there is some pressure or some discussion, I should say, about bringing the zoning ordinance to council at the same time. So we are discussing that. So there is potentially an opportunity to bring the zoning code prior to the adoption of the permanent ordinance. We are not actually advocating for that just because they're both heavy lifts. When they actually start discussing the permanent ordinance, as we've experienced before, it took quite a while, and I'm expecting a lot of dialogue. And the same thing with the zoning ordinance. So our preference is to wait until the permanent ordinance is adopted and then bring the zoning code. But there, just to let you know, there is some discussion about bringing that forward now. And then the capital improvement plan, I did receive some additional information from our DPW department on some improvements that were not in the document that I had. So I'm incorporating them into that. And I know I wanted to have something before you today. That's not the case, but I am hoping to have something to you before the next meeting for your review and approval. And I need to incorporate some DPW capital improvements that were not initially in my document. So that is still ongoing. And that is all I have, Chairman.
Okay. Questions or comments from the commission?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. I know it's not on our agenda, and that's fine if you decide otherwise, but at our last meeting, there was a discussion regarding staffing, use of a firm to help with related zoning issues, et cetera. Is this an appropriate time for an update, or would that be placed on our next meeting agenda?
No, I'm sorry. I actually meant to bring that up too. I mentioned it, but I meant to bring that up, and I was looking at the agenda, and I know we did discuss it. I think we may have actually been asked to put it on the agenda. I'm not sure, but apologize for that. So the zoning firm we have selected, and I know we told you that before, but we have provided that information and completed a staff review moving forward in the process with our purchasing department. So I'm waiting to hear back from her. She's very busy with end of the year activities right now. So I'm reluctant to pressure her, but we are trying to get this. It's probably not going to be before the first of the year, but as soon as possible after the first of the year, we are looking to have that zoning firm on board. And again, because we have not heard from my purchasing director, as soon as I get that information from her, I will share with you, the final recommendation. We just haven't had the conversation with that firm yet, but I am expecting that to move quickly as soon as Joyce is a little bit freed up from her end of the year activities. And there is still a hiring freeze on positions, although the zoning coordinator, that freeze has been lifted. So they are still, we are still seeking applications for that. We have not received any qualified applicants. So it's more important than ever that we are able to get this firm on board while we continue to kind of expand our recruiting practices to solicit, from other locations and try and be very proactive on how we get someone on board. But as of yet, we do not have any qualified applicants for that position.
Okay, as I know, Bill and KZ probably could use some help.
Yeah, we can all of us, I think, are definitely recognizing the need for that position. And that is one of the reasons I was able to, make the case that it is a critical position and get the hiring freeze lifted for that. And so the administration did do that. But it is certainly something that KZ, Bill, and I are, and really everybody that helps out with zoning right now, because several staff who are actually working on this. But Bill and KZ for sure, to try and get someone on board very quickly.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Status of the Planning Commission membership roster.
This is Bill Vandercook. I'm still in the process of working on gathering that information to bring back to the commission. I should be able to present it at the next meeting.
No pressure.
Just to add to that, one of the reasons, because we do obviously have all of the information, names, addresses, contact information, etc. But what we're trying to verify is that we have the correct expiration dates, and that comes from the city clerk's office. And so Bill has not had the opportunity to have that conversation with the clerk's office, but he is going to do that, and we will have that for you for the next meeting.
No pressure. Don't put that kind of pressure on Bill.
I'm going to help him with it, actually. So.
All right.
It's not just the Planning Commission board. We're trying to get our rosters accurate and our website reflective of the new commissioners. So, it is important, and I do want to have that for you and also for our website to be updated.
Very good. Very good. Any resolutions, Bill?
There are no resolutions that I'm aware of. Suzanne?
No.
Under old business, we have the marijuana relicensing policy routing sheet. That was something that was worked on. Would that be?
Yes, Mr. Chair,
Kelly?
this is Kelly Thompson.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm still trying to connect with the police department to confirm their portion of it. But aside from that, I think we have approval from all the relevant departments as far as that routing sheet goes.
Okay.
Mr.
Is
Chair.
there a time frame on when that's going to be done, Kelly? You think?
I would prefer tomorrow or today, but I think that is to be determined by the lieutenant in the police department in charge of the CAT-I program and just coordinating our schedules. But I will make all the efforts I can to have a finalized version and final approval from the police department before our next meeting.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. This question to Ms. Thompson. Kelly, I know at our last meeting we talked about renaming the form, and I think you said that would make sense, such as, I think it was marijuana relicensure facility review. Do we need to make reference to that, because it's an SRU, correct?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes. The relicensure is for reviewing SRUs. If that's your question.
Right. So what would you say would be an appropriate heading? Because right now it says City of Flint marijuana relicensure. Would it make more sense to have it say City of Flint marijuana facility / SRU relicensure review? What is your recommendation?
Yeah, I think at our last meeting, my notes say that we discussed changing it to facility review.
Okay.
I just wanted to, as long as we highlight that it's the annual review for marijuana facilities, that's my main concern. I think I've just been referring to it, and planning staff and I have been referring to it as a routing sheet, so that may just be locked in our brains, but I can certainly understand the desire to facility review.
Yeah, and maybe, yeah, and I think that would make sense of including the term annual. I always like to look at documents not from the perspective that I'm looking at them from, but from the common person. Like, what is this form really about, and so forth. And then I think the other item that we talked about, and I think you made reference to the fact that it did make sense that after the final approval of this particular form to add something of it was adopted with the date on the bottom to confirm the appropriateness of that form. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure we're on track so that there's no confusion down the road when somebody goes, well, where did this form come from? What is it about? And so forth.
Yes. Yes, I agree with both of those changes.
Okay. Thank you ever so much. Just wanted to make sure we're on track.
Very good. Okay, going down to new business. Bylaw committee. Kelly, I received all the bylaw information, Michigan State, Ann Arbor, Grand Rapids, and going through those. So how do we set up? Do we have to set up, first of all, does anybody want to serve on a bylaw committee for our bylaws for the planning commission? Come on, folks, jump right in there. Ms. Blau, don't be trying to turn your computer off.
I will volunteer to be on the bylaw committee.
All right. Ms. Sorensen, what do you think?
Actually, I'm in the process of opening a new business, so I really think that I wouldn't do well at this point.
All right.
If it were 6 months down the road, potentially.
You need some employees? You open a new business?
I will be.
Just kidding. Elizabeth, your plate full too? You got virtual baseball.
I got virtual baseball. Yeah. If you would like me to be part of the committee, I will.
And I think I'll be a part. I think that would be good. I'm trying to figure out how we could and with Ms. Thompson, don't think you're out of this because you're not. You're in there, kid. You're in there.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Also, I'm even starting a new job, so right now I can't volunteer for anything else.
Well, okay. All right. Well, that's three of us. We don't want to get too many because that's a whole another meeting. So that's
correct.
That's three. So
yeah, Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. I think that the three of you, which are officers of the Planning Commission, is very appropriate in looking at reviewing and so forth. And so kudos to the three of you.
Amen to that.
Yeah. 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 Well, we have to figure out how we're going to do this. So if anybody got any ideas, just shoot me an email on how we can do this. I know I got, like I said, the packet that had Michigan State stuff and Ann Arbor, and I was looking at theirs and compared them to ours, and we're not too far off the path there. And some things that I was looking at, I didn't really see. Just like one of the things we talked about, a time frame from when people postpone or withdraw stuff, how long it takes for they can bring it back before us. Those are some things I would like to look at and how we're going to do that. I didn't see any of that in any of the things that I was looking at so far. I haven't gone through all of the Michigan states because it was the thickest of the 4 packets that I had. Okay.
Commissioner Wesley,
what was that?
Would you like me to get the package that was delivered to you to Commissioner Blower and Commissioner Jordan?
Yes, that would be great if we can do that. That'd be fine.
Yeah. Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. Another thing I'd like to recommend is when our next packet goes out, it might be appropriate to include in that packet to each of us our existing City of Flint Planning Commission bylaws.
Okay.
And one of the tasks, maybe one of the tasks to each of us is for us to review the existing bylaws, and any recommendations or thoughts that we might have is to pass them on to you guys. But I think just having each having that gives a beginning start.
That would be helpful for me since I'm on the front side of the learning curve. So I would like a copy of those myself. Please. Thank you.
Of the existing bylaws. Bill,
Yes.
do you have those?
I do. Would it be appropriate to email those to the commissioners this week still, so that everybody has the bylaws to look?
Yeah, have our bylaws. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, I'll do that tomorrow.
And Bill,
Yes.
Bill, this is Commissioner Jewell, and at the next packet that goes out, if you could put a hard copy in there for me, that would be appreciative.
I'll do that.
Well, take it down to Kinko's and run your own copies, man. Just kidding. Just kidding. Okay, is there anything else? We'll get that in Commissioner Blower and Jordan. We'll email each other and see what we can do about how we can get together. Okay.
Sounds good.
Anything else? If nothing else, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. Glad to have everybody aboard. And so be safe and take care of yourself. And our chair will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Support. So moved.
Oh, okay.
And then and Commissioner Jewell will support it. And I think in that support for adjournment, we all ought to give a special thanks to Suzanne, to Casey, to Kelly, and to Bill for their perseverance.
By all means.
Very
By all
good.
means.
Amen to all of the above.
Yeah, we'd like
Thank
to
you.
thank you right back, commissioners.
Yeah, thank you.
For that,
You're
Kelly,
excellent job.
Yeah, I know Bill, he'd be sneaking up on my back porch at 7:30 and 8 o'clock at night. And I'm going, man, he got to deliver these to everybody. And, and I know he's working double time, and we really
Yes, he is.
need to get him some support down there. I know he has support, but another body to help out.
some good support there.
Right.
I appreciate everyone's help. There's a lot of support. So
Yes, sir.
Suzanne, Casey, it's amazing.
know it.
All the commissioners, the attorney we have. So thank you.
All right. Ms. Williams, thanks for hanging in there for the whole meeting.
Muted.
All right, guys. We are adjourned.
All right,
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. Good night.